Hi, this is Rhonda with Colorado Farm Girl Designs, and today I have an arrangement that has some lavender in it and some peonies and some lamb's ear. So it's kind of a wintry looking arrangement, but it is, I think, perfect for today. It's very, very snowy outside. You can see the snow out there, lots and lots of white. So I thought today would be a great day to have something that looked kind of a little bit springy, but still a little bit summery. My dog's over there taking a nap in the background, so here we go. So what I have is and I'll put the links down below if you want to order, but you really honestly could use anything that you have around. If you have pieces and parts, I will not use everything that I've bought for this arrangement. I'll have it for another one, which I think will work out just fine because all the things that I bought I like. So this is lavender. There are 4 stems in the package, and it's $7.99, and it's a really good quality lavender. It sheds a little bit of like white powdery stuff, but it'll be fine once I get it in the arrangement. These are all silk. They're not real, obviously. I could do real arrangements, but right now I'm doing a silk one. But anytime you work with silk, there's going to be some things about it that are a little bit different than working with real. If you are working with real lavender, it would shed all kinds of stuff. And those bushes, there's 4 big, those packages, there's 4 bushes in them, and they're $7.99, so they're a good price. I'll probably use like 2 or 3 of them. These are a lamb's ear, and these all come shipped, so you're going to have to fluff them out a little bit. They come more mashed together looking like this. I actually think they vacuum pack them. So there were actually 10 of these lamb's ear stems, and they have some little pink bloom looking things in them. And they're not flocked. I thought they were flocked when I bought them, but I still like them. I think they've got a pretty look to them. And there's 10 stems, and they are $13.99, so they're $1.39 a stem. And these are a peony bush that I bought. And the peony bush had 10 of the peony blooms. A couple of them were little tight buds. And then it had some extra stuff on it. It has some, the greenery I'm not real fired up about, and then it has some little white things, but really I bought it for the peonies, but I will probably use these also. Possibly not these little ferny looking greens. So that's what I have. And then I have a box, which you can see. I have built these, but this is one that I actually found somewhere. And I have stuffed it. Hi, Paula Duzik. Good morning to you. I've stuffed it with floral foam. You can see that in there. And you want it to be tight so it's not moving around. You can buy floral foam at the dollar store. You can order it from Amazon, whatever you want to do with that. It's $1 a brick at the dollar store. And I have about a brick and a half, maybe almost 2 bricks in here. It's not exactly, I had to cut it up. Good morning, Cindy and Candy. I had to cut it up so it's not exactly 2 straight bricks in it. And then this is Spanish moss, which you can see. Last time I used a green sheet moss, but this is Spanish moss. It has a little bit different look to it. And I've just covered the floral foam with that, and then I'm just going to kind of tuck it in. You can also they sell a floral pin, which I do not have any of, but you just want to tuck it in so it's kind of tidy looking, and you can mess with that as you go, but you don't want to be able to see your floral foam. This is a little messier than the sheet moss, so if you're a person that doesn't like to make a mess, then you probably want to use the sheet moss. It's more kind of a tidy, slap it in there. And I'm just using a knife to kind of tuck it in around there so you can't see it. Because you don't want to see your floral foam, and you could have it hanging out a little bit. Spanish moss is just nice to work with it. Sometimes it's a little bit dusty, so if you're a person that's really allergic, that might not be best. Okay, so now we have our box that's ready to go. Yeah, that box I bought, I don't know where I bought it. Somewhere I bought it, maybe at a yard sale or something. But honestly, you could build a box like this. I have built them, and they're kind of handy. They're easy to build if you're kind of handy. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually just going to, I have my wire cutters here, and I'm just going to put my tuck in my lamb's ear. So it's just kind of tucked in there kind of sporadically. There's not a right or wrong rule for it. And this is going to be, they call them European gardens when they look kind of gardenish. And so I'm kind of going for the European garden look. It's not totally pure style European garden, because a pure style European garden, a strict European garden, I guess, instead of a pure style, would be where you had a plant here and a plant here and a plant here and then moss, and it would actually obviously grow. It's a garden. So this is just kind of a modified one. So I'm just going to tuck some of this lamb's ear in around. And I cut it, if you can see where I cut it, right at the tip or right at the base where you've got another leaf section. And that's true whether you're using fresh or whether you're using silk. That's a good way to, it's a good rule of thumb. Then I'm going to have some of these that are going to be a little bit taller, and I'll put those in later. But I just wanted to give a little bit of cover to my base to start with. My floral foam's moving just a little bit, but that's okay. It's not going to have to work. Okay, so I've just got kind of a general cover of that. And then I'm going to use my peonies. I'm going to do my peonies next. And these peonies, you can move the leaf up and down if you want to. This is not going to be a very tall arrangement. It's going to be kind of a centerpiece kind of arrangement. So I'm not going to make it really tall. So I'm just going to put my peonies, tuck them in there like that. You can see that. The peonies actually, when you go to look online, they actually come in different colors. So if you were doing, for instance, like if you really wanted a Valentine arrangement, or if you wanted a, I don't know, if you wanted a certain color, like if you had a grandma who loved lavender or whatever, you can do a different color. You obviously, they have a bunch of different colors. So there's my rule of threes, and you can kind of see it. Whoops. If I don't knock the camera over. There's 1, 2, 3, and your eye is actually going to move with your rule of threes. You want to create movement in your design for your eye to follow. That's really what you want when you have an arrangement. So the rule of threes is not just 3, it's actually really more accurately it would be the rule of odd numbers, because you want your eye to move. And the even numbers, your eye would go back and forth, and the odd numbers, they'd actually makes it move a little better. This is one of those buds that I was talking about. And I'm going to make it a little bit taller just because it's got less visual weight, meaning it's smaller around. It's got less visual weight, so you look at it and it's not as heavy looking. And obviously light colors like white are going to have less visual weight than a darker color. And if you look at these, they come in and I saved a couple of them without fluffing them. They come in and they're a little bit smashed, not smashed looking, but they're compacted, I guess is a kinder word than smashed, because they pack them in a package. But they've got it down to a science. They're actually pretty good at it. So I'm going to put a couple of more peonies in there. And you can move them if you decide you don't like them where they're at. And I'm going to use one more bud, and then I think that's all my peonies that I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 peonies, so, which is fine. That's a good number. And it's not an odd number, but I'm okay because of the fact that I have some other 2 sides to it. It's not a one-sided arrangement. So I am going to use these little white guys just because I want the eye to move a little bit to the left and to the right. I want it to move down and move down that way. So I'm going to use a couple of these little white guys. And this is a really easy arrangement. You just need to focus on not getting uptight. And you'll be fine. Just be relaxed about it. You will be just fine. So if you look at your eye, if you look at the arrangement, your eye is going to go like this, and then it's also going to go this way if you can see the lines that way. And I'm going to turn it around and I've got two more white ones left for this other side. So I probably will not do exactly the same thing over here because I've got a little bit different layout over here. But I will put it down so your eye gets some movement that way. And that's a little clumpy green looking. So now I have the fun stuff left to do. So now I've got my framework left. I've got my framework done, so I've got made a big mess. Spanish moss, like I said, if you're kind of uptight about a mess, don't use it. So I've got the framework done, and now I'm going to finish up with my, so I did use all of that peony bush, except for some of the greens, which I will tuck in later. I have not used all of my lamb's ear, but I probably will get close, and I'm guessing I will not use all of the lavender bush. So, that said, so you want to kind of fluff these out so they're not mashed looking as you do them. I worked with a guy back when I was younger. I was a florist for a lot of years, and before I became a teacher, and I worked with a guy that he couldn't deal with how messy I was. And I would say to him, his name was Rick, I'd say, Rick, it's a messy job. So I did tidy up, and he relaxed a little bit, but it was quite a little, it caused him a lot of angst because I was a mess, and he didn't know that I should be quite as much of a mess. So you want to spread them out a little bit like that so they're not all clumpy looking. And I'm going to go down this, I'm going to finish up this side, and then I'm going to tuck the lavender in last. If you have one that falls off like this little guy right here fell off, it probably has a home, I just don't know. It'll have like a little stem that is missing one, and I could have already put it in there. But if you can't find it, then you can tuck it on another stem, but and of course I can't find it, so. But I'll show you what they do. They just pop on and off. So if you have one that does pop off, you can just pop it back on. But that one I can't find where it came from. But what you can do is I've cut off this little piece of stem right here. You can just pop it on there, and then you have a piece you can just tuck in there. Now it's good again. So you don't have to waste it really. That's the nice thing about silk flowers, is they are pretty forgiving. To these pieces I'm making just a little bit taller. That leaf kind of has a crinkle to it, which I don't really care for. I'm going to actually cut it off because I don't want to, it's going to be in a pretty obvious place, so I don't want to crinkle on a leaf in a pretty obvious place. So just cut it off where the stem's looking normal. Isn't that cute? Pretty cute. Good morning, Joanne. I know, bring on spring is right. I don't know how cold it is. Joanne's one of those, she always, I noticed that she puts a lot on there about what temperature it is, and I try never to look at it because I don't want to be totally freaked out, which I am about half the time about the temperature. It has been a cold winter, and we've had a lot of snow here this winter. And I am ready for spring. I also know there's people who do the countdown of how many days there is left. And I think that's not a bad idea. I'm kind of ready for it. Okay. So there we have We have the one side, and then we have the other side. So you could use it for a centerpiece. You could use it for a, like on a entryway table. It's kind of a low, flat arrangement. Obviously, it's not very much height to it. So now I'm going to put my lavender in there, and just going to go in with my wire cutters. Move my stuff out of the way so I don't get it all over my lavender. So I just clipped them off the stem because they come in a bush. When you have a bunch of group of flowers on one stem, that's called a bush. So when I say it's a bush, that's what I mean. And once again, you're just going to want to kind of fluff it up a little bit. And then you find a spot where it's going to fit in there, where you can tuck it in. This obviously has a lot of leaves on it. The peonies do, and I love the silk flowers because you can actually bend them. Isn't that cute, that little piece? So I may not want it to all be as tall as it is, or I may. We'll see what I think as I go along here. But if you don't, once again, you can cut it. Like that would be a natural place to cut it right there, because it's going to be right at that junction of those two leaf bases. So now you've got a shorter piece, whereas before it was that long. So you can do that if you want to. And then you've got a little short piece, so maybe you want to, maybe you don't. Actually, I don't like that right there. Put it right there. But I do like the purple, and I like that this is a lavender color with that kind of silver-looking leaf. That's really pretty. They also have these machines that are called pick machines, which florists would have, regular florists would have, but they're kind of clunky. And the silk flowers didn't used to be as nice as they are now. Back in the 80s and 90s is when they really started to get to be better quality. There's one that's broken off. That I could use a pick machine for, because it basically puts a wire pick on the end of it, and then it's more usable. It actually can go into the foam a little bit easier, and it's just a little bit nicer. So I'm probably going to use like half of these lavender stems by the time I get done. So I probably have the lamb's ears. I used all of those, so that's 13, and the lavender I used half of, so that's 4. So 17, 18, and 13. So I have about $31 in there, and then a couple blocks of floral foam. So 33. So under $35 by the time you put a little bit of Spanish moss in it. If you were to go buy this in a store, it would be a lot more than that. And these are pretty good quality flowers. But you also, like I said, if you have things that you have at your house, you wouldn't have to use just lavender and peonies. But I like the look of this, so that's why I'm doing that. Oops, right there. And it's pretty fast and easy. So you could, if you wanted to, do this exact arrangement in fresh also. So there you have it. A cute little spring arrangement for a wintry day. So there's one side, and you can see, and there's my other side. And there's the top. Isn't that pretty with those lavender on it? Yeah. And the little lamb's ears blooms on them. All right. You guys have a great day, and I'll put the links in the comments below. And be sure and come over and check out our Blooming with Colorado Farm Girl page. We have some different stuff on there, and we'll continue to have different things on there. and look for the links in the bottom. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.